Okay, so common difference, what's the 37th term? Write explicit formula, list the next three terms. So arithmetic just means adding over and over. So what is
3
plus 3, right? So that would be the difference, the common difference.
Purple.
Yellow. I vote yellow.
Okay,
Yellow's the worst color.
how would I find the 37th term?
11 plus 3 times 36.
Right. Start with 11, the first term, you would have to add 3 how many times? 36 to get to the 37th term. Because this is from the first to the 37th, that's 36 jumps. Whatever that is. 108 plus 11, 119.
Yeah.
You could say that's ace 37. Write explicit formula. So explicit is the one where you back up one step. So if the pattern's plus 3, what would come right before 11? 8. So you do 8 plus 3. How do we add 3 over and over? Times n. Because when n is 1, you're going to add 3 once. When n is 2, you add 3 twice. And that gives you these terms. Okay. By the way, if you are good at writing the formula, you could do this first, and then you could go back and plug in 37 right here to find this answer. That's another option. Okay, list the next three terms. That one's kind of easy. Next three terms, 20 plus 3 is 23, 26, 29. So, there's not like a lot of problems, but there are a lot of questions, if that makes sense. There's probably only like 20 problems, but they average like 2 or 3 questions per problem. So there's kind of a lot of questions. All right, same 4 questions on number 2. We know this is well, actually, if this is an arithmetic sequence, how do I find the common difference? Huh? How do I find the common difference on number 2? No, that would be a geometric sequence. You just do this minus that. 13 over 2 is just 6.5. So the common difference is negative a half. Okay, the second question is what's a sub 37? So you could do the formula first and then figure that out, or you can do 7 minus a half 36 times. Does that sound so loud when there's no AC going? That would also give you the answer. That's 7 minus 18, negative 11. Okay, the explicit formula. So we would have to back up one step. So if the pattern's minus a half, what would come right before 7? 7.5. Okay, you don't have to, you could write it as an improper, but plus a half to go backwards, so it'd be 7.5. And then we want to minus a half repeatedly. So all explicit arithmetic sequence formulas look kind of like this, like plus something times n or minus something times n. Oh, there's one more question. What would come next? So this is like 6, 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4. Okay, lots of answers. That one's an answer, that's an answer, that's an answer, that's an answer.
How many questions are on this review?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember.
Is this test hard?
I can be. I'm a little bit concerned for some people, but I'm sure some people do fine.
Some people.
Mr. Jordan, are you scared for me?
Okay.
I'm scared for myself.
Rose said okay. He was like, no.
All right. These have 3 questions. What's the common difference? That's the same question. The named term, that means what's that? And then write a recursive formula. So, what is all they did is give us an explicit formula. So what must the common difference be? If you can't tell, they're adding 5 over and over. If you can't tell, you could plug in like what's a sub 1. If you plug that in, you get 12. If you plug in a sub 2, you get 17. So anyway, the common difference is plus 5. But it's always like the number in front of the n on arithmetic. The name term, so what's a sub 14? That's kind of an easy question because they gave us the formula, so all we have to do is plug in 14 right there. So 5 times 14 plus 7. Okay, recursive formula. We did not do this very much last week, if at all. I can't remember. But like this was not on the worksheets as much. But recursive formulas, they can actually be pretty easy. It just always refers to the previous term. So recursive formulas always have like an a sub n minus 1. This just means the previous term, and the pattern is plus 5. So the new term equals the previous term plus 5. Those are the 3 answers.
What's your favorite color?
Okay, this one I'm a little bit concerned about, but so how do we find the common difference? That's part of it, yeah. I would start by finding the difference between these two. So if you subtract 17, let's see, what is that? 168. So the difference from here to here is 168. Is that the common difference?
No.
No. How many steps are there from 8 to 50?
42.
42. So if we divide this by, if we divide this by 42, that'll tell you how much we're adding every step. That would be 4. And that is the common difference.
Yeah.
So subtract to find the difference, but then for each step you need to figure out how many steps are there from here to here. 50 minus 8 is 42 steps. So you divide that difference by 42 to get each individual step, which is 4. Okay, explicit formula. This is kind of tricky because on the explicit formula you need to know what comes before the first term, and they don't tell us the first term, they tell us the 8th term. So to find the first term we would have to back up, subtract 4 7 times. And that'd be like negative 11. The problem is that's the first term and you need to know what comes before the first term, so actually we need to subtract 4 more like 8 times, one more time. So negative 15, that would be like the 0th term. What comes right before the first term? Negative 15. So the formula is negative 15 and then just add 4 over and over again. The recursive formula, the previous term plus 4. Any questions on that? I know I'm going kind of fast. There's just a lot of stuff to get to. Okay, number 5 is fill in the blanks. Kind of like the last problem. So how can I find out what the common difference is here? Whoops. Yeah. Find the difference for what's 5 over 2 as a mixed number? 5 divided by 2 is 2.5, so 4 minus 2.5 is like 1.5. So that's the difference from here to here. So how do I find out what each step is? Divide by 3. So 1.5 divided by 3 is like a half. So this is a plus a half every step. That's the common difference. So 2.5 plus a half is 3, plus a half, 3.5. questions on that?
What's your favorite
Wait,
color?
go back up. It's good. Okay.
Yeah,
Is it green?
I guess.
Is it blue?
It said, I guess I'm green.
Oh.
I don't really care that much. Eli, what's your favorite color?
Orange.
Whoa.
Because your hair?
Yes.
It's like it's like the least one.
Huh?
Yeah.
Orange is your least favorite?
Yeah.
It's kind of insulting Eli right now.
Oh.
Yeah. No, like just in general. That's an ugly color.
Right after orange, it's kind of yellow.
So what's the orange for sure is the
Yellow and orange are automatic.
Okay,
And it's red.
so starting on 6, we're switching to series. What's the difference on series?
You add them.
Series is where you add together. So when it says evaluate the arithmetic series, it just means add those together. Okay. Gonna Now, on this one, it just tells us, it just defines the series. Like the first term is 5/2. The common difference is a half. What does n equal 28 mean? Girls, there's 28 terms that you're supposed to add together. So this is kind of tailor-made. This is when those formulas come handy. Arithmetic series sum. Okay, so that top one over there. So n equals 28, that goes right there. A sub 1, they just tell us is 5/2. Okay, here's the problem. What is A sub n? What does A sub n stand for? It means the last term. It means, in this case, the 28th term. N is 28. So how do we find the 28th term? Well, yeah, you start at 5/2. You add 1/2 27 times. What was it? 16, yeah, that's right. Anyway, the formula helps with this one. It would be very hard to like get all 28 terms written like this, 28 terms written out, and then add them all together. You could do that, it'd just be, the formula's easier.
What's your hard on these?
Okay, on 6, I would not use a formula. I would just add those together. On 7, I would because it's very long. 28 terms is a lot. And it would take forever to figure them all out. Yeah.
Did you pick up a 6?
I didn't. I skipped it. I think it was 21, actually.
Yeah.
All right, number 8, same thing, but this is in sigma notation. So on that formula, we have n/2. What is n going to stand for on this problem? 7, because we're going from 1 to 7, right? So that would be the number of terms. What's a sub 1? Well, you just plug a 1 in right here. You get 8 times 1 minus 5, which is 3. What's a sub n? The 7th term, because that's how far we're going. 8 times 7 minus 5, I believe is 51. So that will do it. This is not a huge series, 1 to 7. So if you wanted to, just plug in 1, get 3. Plug in 2, you get 11. Plug in 3. You just do like 7 of the pattern is plus 8. If you did 7 of those, you should get the right answer. Or this would also give you the right answer. 54, 27 times 7, 140 plus 49, 189? Did I plug that one in? No? I did that in my head, so I might have made a mistake, but.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the second half. Geometric sequences.
Yay.
There's a little bit more on this half because we did some infinite geometric series stuff. Okay, here's the questions. What's the common ratio? What's the eighth term? What's an explicit formula? So what's the common ratio? Times 2, right? So geometric means multiply. If you're not sure what they're multiplying, do the second one divided by the first one. So it is times 2. Ratio is 2. Okay, how would I find the eighth term? Well, you could do times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2 to the fourth term, right? This is 4, so this would be 5, 6, 7, 8. Another way you could do it is -1 times 2, 7 times to get from the first to the eighth term. 7 steps, so you could times 2 7 times. Anyway, what you should get is -128. Okay, explicit formula. How do we find explicit formulas? Back up one step. So if this is times 2, how do I go this way? Divide by 2. -1 divided by 2 is -1/2. Now how do I move forward? Times, on this one it's times 2. How many times do I multiply by 2? N. So on geometric series, explicit formulas always have the n in the exponent, because you want to multiply by 2 over and over again. And that's what does it. Alright, does this test seem hard so far?
Yes.
Alright, well,
It's
th-
like average.
then there's your answer, it's hard. Okay, this one is, I didn't read the whole directions, but it says you're supposed to identify if this is a geometric series or not. This one definitely is because it's times 2, but this one, like whatever you would multiply 13 by to get 133 is not the same thing that you multiply this by to get this. So this is just not a geometric series or sequence, I guess. So then there is no common ratio. You don't have to answer any of the other questions if that's true.
So, is one of those gonna be test?
I think so. I didn't put the whole test on here because it was just a little bit too long, but I think there is one of those on there. It's like one of everything I've got on here plus a few more.
How many pages is it?
It's 4 pages, like 2 front and backs.
What happened to your
Your
test?
video, I
And then
Yeah.
it's review.
Okay, on number 11, they wrote an explicit formula for us. How do I find the common ratio? Okay, on the word. Yeah, it is a half. Now, if you weren't sure, it's, this number in parentheses is the number that keeps getting multiplied. In this case, it was 2. In this case, it's going to be 1/2. If you're not sure, you can say, well, the first term, if you plug in 1, right here, you get -2. The second term, if you plug in 2, you get like -1. So you could say, how do I get from here to here? Like, what's 1 divided by 2? It's 1/2. This is the number that gets multiplied over and over. So the common ratio is a half. By named term, find the named term, they mean just, that's what this thing is listed for. What's a sub 17? Since they were nice and wrote the formula for us, all we have to do is go back and plug in 17. right there. This is a very tiny number. I don't know what it was, but multiplying by a half 16 times makes the number really tiny. Anybody get it? $65,536. Okay. And last, recursive. What's recursive mean? It means, no, that's it.
Wait, I have a question.
Yeah.
Were you supposed to times it by 16 or 17? 16, right?
Yeah, well,
Did you do 17?
it's,
I got the answer.
I had said
it's the 16th power. Oh, what was the answer?
3, 2, 7, 6, 8.
Yeah, so I hope there's a minus one right there, so. I can change it. Oh, wait. Or did you do 16 minus one? Maybe I said 16 because I did minus one in my head.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you gotta, is that right?
That's what I got.
Okay. Okay, recursive means you always refer to the previous term. And what do we want to do to the previous term on this one? We want to multiply by a half. So, probably the, oops, that didn't work very well. The best way to do that is just 1/2 times the previous term. Technically, you're supposed to say like the first term, what the first term is, but I probably won't grade on that. Just skip that part, it's fine. So you got that, common ratio, that is the 17th term. This is the recursive formula.
Was this the last one?
No, that's
Well, I think this is all farther I got with the other class, but that I wasn't done, so I'm probably gonna add on to this too. We got a lot of time left, we're doing fine. Yeah. Okay, I feel like this is one of the hard ones.
5-year
How do we find the common ratio? It only gives us the sixth and the first term. How would I find the common ratio? What are they multiplying by? Well, okay. 2 is being multiplied by something, right? How many times is this term being multiplied by something to get to this term? 5. From 1 to 6. It would have to be multiplied 5 times. So 2 is multiplied by something 5 times, and it ends up at -1/16. How would we solve that for n? Divide by 2. Then what would we do? 5th root gets rid of the 5th power. And we would get -1/2. That is the common ratio. Okay, so there's the answer number 1. Alright, explicit formula. This is the one where you need to back up one step. What came right before? This is one we did the most. What comes right before 1? If the pattern is times -1/2, what would come right before this is divide by -1/2. So it'd be -4. Okay, and then to move forward, you'd have to multiply by -1/2 repeatedly. Okay, so the recursive formula is just you do the previous term times -1/2. And I'll leave parentheses there. Previous term times -1/2. Okay. Yeah, that is the last one I wrote down. Evaluate the series. So this is a geometric series sum, so that means we can use the formula. Hope, are you bullying people from the hallway?
Yes, she called me a fatty.
No, she was talking to me.
It was
I
when
would
she
never
started
say
saying-
such things.
She's calling both of us.
Do you?
Dirty lip and call me fatty.
No, she started calling David a fatty.
You said his feet look small. His feet were small.
And you know.
David who?
Putty.
Your brother is
He's not even around here, is he?
Take care of this weekend.
Oh.
You know what embarrassing thing that Lisa did this week? Well, we went to.
She did? She farted. It was so bad.
Stop! Anyways, let me
I
finish
can
my
still
story.
the whole way she's
Stop, can you close your mouth, please? Anyways, we were saying thanks to her dad, and she looks him dead in the eyes and goes up to him and goes, "Thank you, Mr. Kajalapui," and she enunciated like the poo part. And then I go,
Sky
like, when we were
watches
leaving,
accent.
yeah, when we were leaving, I was like, "Did you know what's the Kajalapui?" And she's like,
No, he's
"Is it?" And so I was like, "Yeah."
She like
It's actually
copied
funny.
it, like an accent.
I've never said it like that.
Yeah, they said spoon.
In front of him.
And then she was like trying to like play it off like,
Oh my gosh, she spent the next 5 minutes.
she's like, "Do you guys have spoons too?" Or like girls have.
All right, so,
I don't know.
yeah, this is the formula for evaluating geometric series over there on the board. So what's a sub 1 going to be on this series? -4. That just means the first term. So what's R? It's the common ratio. What do you multiply to get from -4 to 12? Or you could say, what's 12 divided by -4? -3. So it's 1 minus -3. -3 should be in parentheses. What's in? Okay, 8. They just tell us the number of terms we use. So it's 8. Then on the bottom, you just put 1 minus -3 again. No exponent. And that would do it. Okay, again, if the formula is confusing, you could just find 8 terms and add them together. Like, we've already got 4 up here. So if you just find the next 4, that should give you the same answer as this. Okay, this is not it. I just erased what I put in the other class. So we're getting close though.
That's your water? I stole from you.
No, it's not.
I threw it off the cliff and
It's
everything.
like-
That's your water.
It's not. It's not.
Why'd you
Okay.
take it from it?
This is for an infinite geometric series. The question is,
It took me so
It took
long
you
to
so
read
long.
that. What is wrong with you?
will this series converge
Yeah.
or diverge? How do we know?
If it goes lower.
Okay, if the common ratio is like a proper fraction, the numbers you're adding get smaller and it heads off towards a particular number, that's called converge. Converge just means come together. Like it approaches, comes towards a number. Diverge is the opposite of that. It means it's not approaching a number. It means it's like going towards infinity, or maybe it's, sometimes it just jumps all around. But anyway, what is the common ratio? 1/2, 4 divided by. So, is it going to converge? Yes. Okay, by the way, this little thing right here I wrote over there. Infinite geometric series sum if the common ratio is between -1 and 1. Okay, what is it going to converge towards? All right, the easiest little formula we've got right there. A sub 1 over 1 minus r. So it would be 8 over 1 minus a half, which is 16. All right. Clear as mud. You guys gonna ace this sucker? Do you guys remember? I did put one bonus on there. Do you guys remember what like S of 24 whatever means? The sum of the first 24 terms. Kind of like n equals 24 up here.
I don't know how to get that.
Okay, well, it's a bonus for a reason. I think we might have done one of them together on the review, but